So, welcome.
That's great. Yeah.
So, I was kindly invited to talk about building a quality engineering chapter, pitfalls to avoid and best practices to follow. So, what I'm going to talk here is actually a little bit how to build a quality engineering chapter and what I went through in a real case scenario. It was a pandemic real case scenario. It was more interesting to see how that happened. So a little bit about myself. I was introduced already, so I will be really quick here. So nowadays I am the delivery principal at ThoughtWorks. The main highlight here is that I have a very uh, exciting life with 19 dogs and two teenager kids. So my house is never a dull place. So it's always fun to be here. And maybe you can hear some bark too, but I'll try to refrain a little bit from them. And I was the head of tests. Test service in Brazil at IBM, and I think as quality and testing as my first baby before I had my teenagers, because for me it's a passion and it's still a passion. Now I work with tests more quality, more I see it more of as an agile testing, agile engineering type of thing than the waterfall that I learned with, but it's still I'm heavily passionate about it. So, what is a chapter? I think we need to understand a little bit what is a chapter. So, when we start to work in a truly agile company, and when I say a truly agile company, I'm saying that the whole company works in squads, in tribes. So the whole company is working independently. So they are multifunctioning and they are working independently in the squads, and they are just focused and deliver the best product for the client. When they do this, and they are really working very well doing this, we are facing an issue, a very heavy issue that happens. And this is, how can we share the knowledge and the learning and the experiments that each tribe has in the same context, in the same company, in the same contract, if they are completely independent? So this is really important. This is something that when I went to this contract, and it was a major customer that we had, I'm talking about a major account with roughly 300 people working in several squads, in several tribes, and they were working completely independent. But we were unable to share the experiments and to share the knowledge. So this is actually why it's so important to have chapters, to have communities, to have guilds, to be able to share, to be able to share the knowledge. So the chapter is a community of people working in the same domain, and domain can be a contract, the same customer, the same financial domain, the same industry, or something like this, who work for the same company and are interested in the same issues. So here I'm talking about quality engineering, but we can build chapters for anything, and this works for everything. So I'm talking about quality engineering, agile, safe, lean, or front end, back end development, it doesn't care. But it's really important to be able to build this community. This sense of community is really important. So, okay, what I'm talking about. So, why do I need really a chapter? So I need this to have some recurring meetings to exchange information, to exchange experiences, to share lessons learned, to be able to make fearless mistakes and learn fast, to generate a sense of belonging and community. To, for example, in the example that I'm talking about, the giveaway, they felt really lonely. They were alone in the squad, and they were alone trying to do their jobs, and they were really lonely. No one was facing the same issues they were facing. So to be able to build this quality engineering chapter, we were able to bring to them this sense of belonging and actually to reduce the attrition, to be able to make people happier about it. Many heads are better than one. With a community, with this chapter, we are able to find solutions for some issues that we have. They are really important. And also a unique and safe place for exchanges, for questions, and transparency. So, how do I start to build a chapter? First of all, it's really important. Identify the need of the community. You don't start a chapter because it's fun to, or because you just want to. You start a chapter because the community needs something, because the community is missing something. So first of all, identify the needs of the community. What are the pain points? What is the community is needing? So first of all, identify this. Then identify what will be the possible members of the community. Would be only QAs or architects or developers or some leaders or scrum masters who will be able to be part of this chapter. Organize the first meeting. So you will need to do this. You need to organize this first meeting and to call people to be part of this. You will need to publicize this. Think about a catchy name for the community. Be a little bit of a marketing. Use your marketing tools to think about a catchy name. Think about its goals. What do you want to accomplish with this chapter? Do you want to enhance the sense of belonging, the sense of community? Do you want to share more knowledge? Do you want to try to solve the same issues people are having? What do you want? Establish a communication channel. Invite other people for the community. Make it easier to be part of this community. Make everyone able to invite other people. Prepare the first team and then put into the community backlog. So you need to have a backlog teams and always be able to feed that backlog. Get to know the people and meet and meet and meet again. This is really important. And get feedback. What could be better? What can be improved? What is working? And work on this. And to keep the momentum of the chapter is very, it's really gives a lot of work. So you need to have a lot of people engaged. You can do it alone because you will have times that will be sick. You have times that will take a vacation. You have times that your project will be with a high demand. So you also need someone else with you, some other people that has the same passion, the same energy that you has to be along with you. This is really important. And also be aware. What are the pitfalls that you may find? Sometimes you do not find the right people as members, so they are not interested. You don't understand correctly the need of the community to create it, or just create because it's fun. So why are you creating? Why? You don't see the goal of it. You don't have a centralized place to share the communication. People doesn't know where to find the information, where to go to find the reference material, etc. And now, always be diverse, be inclusive. Everyone is accepted. Everyone is invited to join. The more, the better. Any questions so far?
Uh, so how, Larissa, I have a question. How do you engage these community members? Like, what different do you do in order to get them stick to this community that you've built for them? Like,
Well, first of all, the first team I got was their major pain point. So, for example, for me, the major pain point was people just couldn't get the or couldn't agree with the correct terms for the test pyramid. So the integration and it was the integration tests and it was the integration tests and the other level for the test pyramid that they couldn't agree. And if you ask for someone, they'll say is this, and the other one will say is that, and no one ever agrees. And everyone I asked, there was no, it's not this, it's that. So first of all, the first meeting was what is test pyramid? Let us discuss about it. It was amazing. Everyone wanted to discuss and say their ways was the better way. So the first talk was really to bring people together and to do the basics actually. So let us agree with something. And everyone started to have the same foundation. After this, we start to asking what is the biggest pain you have in your project? What do you see as what is going on? And then what we did? We did a research, a qualitative and quantitative research for, so we were inside the same customer, okay? But it was a huge Brazilian bank, but a huge. Thinking about, I don't know, it was the one of the biggest Brazilian banks that we have. So when we start to ask, what kind of tests do you do? Do you do automation? What kind of tools do you do? What kind of automation do you do? When do you test? How many people do you have? So we start to do several questions, and we did this into a Google form, very simple to use, to start to have an understanding of our audience. So what we have and a little understanding of what they didn't know and what they wouldn't need. So afterwards, we start doing some exchange between some informative topics between this is the kind of accelerators tools that we know the customer has and no one knows. For example, TDM and TDM, SV, etc., that we know that the customer had and no one knew how to use it. So we start with this. And other was how can we make their automation framework, which sucks by the way, but that's what they had, better. And then we start to do between discussions and some informative topics. And also we ask people to bring topics as well and people to present. So we had in a tribe someone that did a very good experiment using the Spock framework. That was really good. And into one framework, he was able to do the 3 layers of the pyramid. So it was really good, and we were able to reduce the time, etc., etc. So we asked him to bring this case to present to others, and we have, I don't know, maybe 5 other squads wanting to use this as well. Or the other that case that was presented was how to generate automatically the test pyramid with some tweaks into their unit test codes. So it was something that people were doing, some experiments that we start to share between, and that was actually what engaged the people.
Got it. Thanks for that.
So, well, I talk a lot about the success case, but this was what we did. So I started into this contract, and my role there, I was a senior manager for a given context. But as I told you, testing quality is my first baby. So I want to understand how quality was being handled in the contract. So what I discovered there when I got there was several ways to make a testing strategy. The test concepts, the test parameter, the role of QA within the squad, they were not consistent. They are not standardized. They were not feeling part of the bigger whole. They didn't have a purpose. The QA was feeling lonely without any friends. They were almost crying in in the corner. It was really sad to see the poor QA. They didn't know the tools and accelerators at their disposal because the bank was huge, and I used to work in a prior context at that bank, so I knew they had several tools. And since it was that huge, no one knew how to use it correctly. And the automation efforts, we have one here and one here, and one tried to use Cypress and didn't work, and one was trying to use again Cypress here and didn't know it didn't work. So I start to see all of this, and actually and I try to understand what they were, where were they, and how the quality efforts they were organized. That's why I did the research. And then I got a really good feel what the community needed, how to engage. So what I did was I talked to human resource, to the people department, and I asked them for the list of all the QAs and architects that were part of the account. So I asked them for their roles, and then I had a list with this. One thing that I also, when talking to people, understanding their pain points, I identify some people with a lot of energy and passion to be with me into this journey, because it was really important to have at least one very good people with me, or to share, to be able to do with someone else. And we start to use and abuse of referrals, so mouth to mouth. So we did the first one, and then we have several channels for the leadership, for the account, for QAs, for all the tribes, for everything. So the first channel, I published the first meeting into all the channels possible and some more. It was please just come, just show up. And the QAs start to refer the other QAs, who refers the developer, the architects. So we have everyone coming. And it was really a domino effect. So I had, as part of the strategic squad, that we start to have a strategic squad to see what teams could be done, an architect as well, and also the autonomy for members to refer members, so everyone could enjoy. So I invited everyone from from that initial list of QAs and architects with HR, and I put the name of the customer, quality engineering. It was not that catchy, but that's what we had at the moment. We gave them autonomy for members to add more members. And the first message was to put the purpose of the chapter. Why I opened that chapter. Why are we open there? And then we start to say it was really important for us to share why we were there and what we wanted. That we are not intending to see what they're doing or to judge anything. We're just wanting to share knowledge and to help everyone to also talk to each other. And it was really interesting because we start to see people in the chapter, people in the chat asking, guys, everyone use that tool? Everyone tried to automate this, and we start to see a lot of traction going there between them. We, without us intentionally doing it. It was really good to see this. And the feedback. So we asked the feedback after any meetings we had. It was good. NPS for this, and we also asked people to suggest topics. What topic would be interesting? We had a Trello that we had all the topics there. So we would work on this topic. So what we can do, what can't we do, etc. And we had a very transparent communications. So we'll do dissemination of meetings, ideas, experiences, feedbacks, and hetero feedback. So we would let the feedback feed the what we are doing exactly. So it was really interesting to start to see this momentum keep going, and it was all online because we had those 250 people, and they were scattered around all Brazil. So we have people in São Paulo, in several places in Brazil, and we were all online working for this. So the only thing that we have in common, we're working for the same customer and suffering the same issues. And we're really suffering a lot because it was a difficult customer person. So what we did for the first meeting, we did the dissemination in all online communications channels and some more. We did the recording to watch later and be more inclusive, so maybe the people won't be able to join it at that time. So we recorded and we store into the same common folder for everyone to watch whenever they did. And we did the alignment on QA concepts and was expected for the QA role inside the squads. So in terms of to check the stories and also to do an experience exchange. So people could be listen and could be part of something as well. And people were really, really motivated. So we had an average attendance of 40 people per meeting, and it was really high for us. We were really happy about it. So we were able to engage 95 people are part of the QE chapter, and we had mostly QA, architects, and developers. So, and one thing that we discovered a lot over time was that many times the QA was working together with the architect. So when we are going to present something, for example, the Spock framework, it was the QA and the architect that did together. So it was really interesting to see these two roles working together to implementing something and then sharing with the other tribes. And then you see that the other squads reaching out to see how they could implement it. And even afterwards, we present this as a success case for the customer as well. You see this, what we did, and they were like, oh my God, this is awesome. So it brings us some competitive advantage as well. But that was not the point, but it was really interesting. And we were able to do, this is old, but it was 12 different topics, present and share with others. And we had 16 meetings. It was not monthly. We would do bi-monthly the meetings, because we also did we started to do several sharings between people between sessions. And what we learned a lot, that we should involve not only the QAs, but also the architects and other roles. So one thing that we noticed, for example, was that we had several QAs that asked us to do an educational session for leaders, because the leaders, the senior managers and managers, they didn't know what the QA was supposed to do, or even worse. Oh my God, the manager asked me to automate everything. I said, no, please, just don't. So we would do educational sessions with the managers as well. Advertise, advertise, and advertise. And collected the greatest pain points, the greatest questions, and set up the first meetings about these topics because these are the major things that people want to be seen and to be represented. So this is really important. And to find engaged people who want to help on the chapter because we are unable to do it by ourselves. It will come up because this is something that we do beyond our daily jobs. So it will come a time that our project will be really heavily with heavily loads and we'll need to have someone else helping us. Add topics to the backlog and organize visually with Trello or something like this. Keep the chapter alive with relevant topics and interesting chat discussions. So sometimes that you'll see that just the chat has been silenced for too long. Ask powerful, thought-provoking questions. Get some article that you have seen or bring something, I don't know, maybe the Test Automation University or some conference or something, but always you keep feeding the chat if you see it going silently as well. Encourage new people to share new topics, new experience, and new learnings. So if you see someone doing something nice, oh, you should present this. This is awesome. People will love to hear about this and help people to prepare the presentation as well. Help people to share the information. Many times people, they are shy. So it's really important to help them and encourage people publicly. So help them to be able to help. And also when they present and when they do share their ideas, encourage people, recognize people and say, well done. This is awesome. This is great. Who is going to do this? Who is going to use it? Because this is awesome. I'm loving it. I'm going to apply this tomorrow and recognize people. And that's what I had for you guys.